Good afternoon. Welcome to Grade 12 English First Additional Language. This will be the last lesson concerning the language aspect of the work we're going to cover, and today we're going to specifically look at summary writing as well as some general language aspects. When you write a summary, you will be expected to extract and summarize key information. You can't just rewrite everything in the summary. You have to be able to extract the most important key information. The skill of summary writing is knowing what is the essential information and what you can afford to leave out. Now that starts with reading what is asked of you. In that way, when you identify what you are being asked, you will be able to identify the essential information. Now, this will depend on what the question asks you to focus on, so make sure you read it carefully. Once you have understood the task, you should read the text and identify the relevant information. Look at the word relevant information. You have to be able to identify what is the relevant information. What do you need to write down in your summary? Now, to save time, mark the text using one or more highlighters. So in other words, after you've read your question very carefully and you have identified exactly what you need to summarize, take out your highlighter and on your text, mark the 7 points that you think is applicable to this question. It's all too easy to highlight everything. Try to extract just the key information because there's nothing worse than bad highlights. It is likely that the text will be about 200 to 300 words long, and you will be expected to write 60 to 70 words in the time available. It's extremely important to know to not exceed the word limit of 70 words. Especially in the final exam, do not exceed the word limit of 70 words. You will be penalized. So again, you have a word limit. So how do I keep to that word limit? I am going to use, I'm going to substitute superordinate words for lists. For example, there's a lot of daisies, tulips, and roses. There's a lot of flowers. It's a beautiful, sunny, marvelous day. It's Tuesday. So keep it short. In other words, delete redundant material. Delete your describing words. You are expected to write the summary as far as possible in your own words. So if you're going to quote from the passage or parrot the phrases used by the writer, you will lose marks. So as far as possible, rewrite the summary in your own words. So find suitable synonyms, and you should also make sure that you only deal with what is in the text. Don't add details or make unsupported assumptions. In other words, do not write down your own opinion. So to summarize, a good summary is brief, focused, well-structured, and written in your own words. Very important. To summarize does not mean that you do not write full sentences. You still have to write proper full sentences when writing a summary. Right, the easiest way to do it, you have now read the question. You have highlighted the 7 facts that you think is important. Then you take your page and you divide it into 2 parts. The first part is for quotations and the second part is for the facts. So then you rewrite the quotations in the first column In other words, those parts that you have highlighted, you write it down, fact 1 to 7, and then you rewrite it next to it in your own words. That is the easiest way to do a summary. So what are we going to remember? Read your question carefully. Highlight your 7 points. Divide your page into 2 sections, one for the quotations and one for your own words as shown on the screen. Remember, a summary in English is always in point form, and you will always be asked to write down 7 points. 1 fact per point. The marker can only mark the first fact that you have written down, so you will lose the marks if you wrote down 2 facts at point number 1 or point number 2. Keep to the word limit. Use your own words. And then very important, as shown here with this red line, cross out your planning. Otherwise, this will be marked. The marker must mark the first summary that you've written down. If this was not crossed out, the quotations will be marked and you will not receive the full marks as you would have gotten if they marked your final. Let's look at an example from a paper. Water plays an important role in the human body. You have been asked to write an article about this. So this is what you need to summarize. The role that water plays in the human body. So you have to look for those facts. Read the passage and write a list of 7 main points. So you highlight 7 main points. You know it is 7 points. It is point form. Instructions. List 7 points, very important, in full sentences using no more than 70 words. Number your sentences from 1 to 7. Write only 1 point per sentence. Use your own words. Indicate the total number of words you've used in brackets at the end of your summary. Very important with number 5, don't lie. The marker will know if it's more than 70 words. We are counting every word, so write the correct number of words down. So these are your instructions that you have to follow to the letter. 7 points. No more than 70 words, must be in point form. Number your sentences from 1 to 7. 1 point per sentence, 1 fact per sentence. Right, use your own words. Remember to still write in full sentences. Let's have a look at the passage. Remember, what do we have to summarize? The role that water plays in the human body. So have a look. Water in the human body. Here is the passage. And let's have a look at the memo. Now this is how your paper is supposed to look. So here's the quotations. Many people believe that drinking large quantities of water improves the skin. So what did you do first of all? You highlighted that part. Many people believe that drinking large quantities of water improves the skin. To make it easier, highlight that part and on top of it write a small number 1. Right, now you are going to rewrite it in your own words. Drinking lots of water does not necessarily improve your skin. Alright. Then number 2, there is also no basis for the common belief that you need 8 glasses of water a day to be healthy. And then you highlight, there is also no basis for the common belief that you need 8 glasses of water a day to be healthy. And you write a number 2 down. And that you will do with all of the facts. You will see that there's always more than 7 facts, because this is the memo that the marker uses. So you write down 7 facts and you rewrite it in your own words as far as possible. Count your words when you're done. See that you wrote full sentences. See that it is in point form. See that there's only 1 fact per point. How is a summary marked? Now this is the memo, and each of these facts are numbered. And you will see once you get your test or your paper back with a summary, there will be a tick with a number next to it. That is just to help the marker to see that you did not repeat yourself. So here I would tick with a number 1 and a number 2 and a number 3, because sometimes some of the candidates or the learners rewrite number 2 just in another way, and then there will be it will be marked wrong, and a R will be written next to it to show that you have repeated yourself. If you wrote down a quotation as it is, it will be marked correctly, but with a Q next to it to show that you quote from the passage. You did not use your own words. Now the mark allocation. Alright, so there will be 7 marks for 7 points correctly, and then 3 marks for language. So your total will be 10 out of 10. If you had 6 to 7 points correct, you will get 3 marks. If you had 4 to 5 points correct, you get 2 marks. If you get 1 to 3 points correct, you get 1 mark. If, however, you used quotations in your summary, you can receive no more than 1 language mark. So please take note of that. Another question. The summer holidays are approaching. You have been asked to write a list of 7 safety tips for this period. So that is your direction. That is what you need to do. Question read carefully. I need to summarize 7 safety tips for the summer holidays. Again, read the passage below and write a list of 7 main points for inclusion in your list. The instructions, very important. List 7 points in full sentences using no more than 70 words. Number your sentences from 1 to 7. Write only 1 point per sentence. Use your own words. Indicate the total number of words you've used in brackets at the end of your summary. Take your highlighter and identify your 7 facts on how to be safe. So any safety tips for the summer holidays. Safety tips for the summer holidays. And here I did number 1. Regardless of their swimming ability, children should never be allowed in the water without adult supervision. That's my first one. And then my second one, avoid sunburn. Applying a good sunscreen and reapplying often is vital. And with number 2, I said wear a wide-brimmed hat for extra protection. Then number 3, drinking plenty of fluids to prevent dehydration is essential. Number 4, to avoid being bitten, use long-lasting insect repellent and treat clothes with it too. And then number 5, use caution when eating food from picnic baskets in hot weather. Number 6, at a playground, ensure that all equipment is safe and be careful of hot surfaces. And then number 7, always adhere to safety regulations, because a fun ride on a scooter or skateboard without protective gear might end with you landing in the hospital. Now I did my first part. I highlighted and numbered my facts in the passage. Now I am dividing my page into 2 parts, 1 for my quotation and 1 for my own words. So regardless of their swimming ability, children should never be allowed in the water without adult supervision. I rewrite it in my own words Always supervise children near water, even those who are good swimmers. You will receive the mark for the first part as well. Always supervise children near water. Fact number 2, avoid sunburn. Applying a good sunscreen and reapplying often is vital. Wear a wide-brimmed hat for extra protection. So in your own words, protect yourself from sunburn with effective sunscreen and a wide-brimmed hat. That is fact number 2. Fact number 3, drinking plenty of fluids to prevent dehydration is essential. Own words, keep hydrated by regularly drinking your fluids. Next fact, to avoid being bitten, use long-lasting insect repellent and treat clothes with it too. Own words, use an insect spray on yourself and your clothes to prevent harmful bites. Next fact, use caution when eating food from picnic baskets in hot weather. Avoid food poisoning by keeping food in picnic baskets cool. Next fact, at a playground, ensure that all equipment is safe and be careful of hot surfaces. Check for unsafe hot playground equipment. And the last one, always adhere to safety regulations because a fun ride on a scooter or a skateboard without protective gear might end with you landing in hospital. Own words, follow safety rules and wear protective equipment to avoid injury. Now, these are your tips on how to keep safe during summer. So this is your summary. Immediately draw a line through your planning so that it would not be marked. Count your words. Go back to your instructions. See that you've listed 7 points. Write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Done. Okay, no more than 70 words. So you count your words and you write down your word count at the bottom. Do not lie. Right. So I number my sentences 1 to 7. I have only 1 point and 1 fact per sentence. I wrote in full sentences. I used my own words and I did write down the number of words at the end of my summary. You have more than enough time to complete a summary when you're writing a test or during your paper 1 language exam. So go to the trouble. This is what we call planning. Without proper planning, you cannot expect to get full marks for your summer. So you have to plan, and your planning includes, first of all, take your page that your summary is written on, that this reading passage is written on, and highlight your 7 points, number them, and then rewrite them on in your first column on your page. Rewrite them in your own words. See that it's 7 points. It is point form. It is full sentences. Count your words, write it down, and draw a line through your planning. If you're going to do your summary like this, it will ensure that if you wrote down the correct facts over here, you will easily achieve a 10 out of 10. Right, that concludes the summary writing. What we're going to look at now is some general language aspects that they ask now and again and that we're just quickly going to revise. Parts of speech. Now, parts of speech, they can ask you, name the part of speech of the underlined word, or why is this word written with a capital letter, or write down the adjective in the sentence, or write down the verb in the sentence. So we're just quickly going to recap what is a noun, what is a verb, what are all those things. Right. A noun is a person, a place, a thing, or an idea. So a person can be the boy, a cowboy, Mary, Peter. And Mary and Peter are written with capital letters because they are known as proper nouns, or you can even answer the names of a person, and you will also receive that mark. A place, it's like a church, or Pretoria, or Johannesburg. A thing is a ball, or grass, or a table, or a chair. An idea is known as an abstract noun. It's like love, hate, justice, trust, anything like that. We have a pronoun. Remember the function of the pronoun. We spoke about this in our previous lessons. The function of the pronoun is it stands in the place of the noun. In other words, instead of saying Mary is fetching Mary's books from Mary's room, we use the word her. Mary is fetching her books from her room. So the pronoun her stands in the place of the noun Mary. An adjective. An adjective describes a noun. Don't get confused between a pronoun and an adjective. A pronoun stands in the place of the noun. An adjective describes a noun. If I have the sentence, the red flower. Flower in that sentence is my noun. Which word describes the noun, which is flower? The word red. So red will be my adjective. Always remember, an adjective describes a noun. A pronoun stands in the place of the noun. Then we have a verb. We all know we've been doing the verb for all the lessons that we've covered up to now is an action word. Any action word, kick, leap, dive, stomp, flip, jump, run, catch, talk, eat, any action word is known as a verb. Then we have an adverb. Now an adverb describes the verb. So the girl runs fast. The verb is runs. How does she run? Fast. So the word fast is describing the verb, and that is known as the adverb. A preposition. A preposition precedes a noun or a pronoun. Look at the examples we have. The apple is on the box. The apple is in the box. The apple is next to or beside, in front of, behind, between, under, through, around. Then very important, our tenses. Now we have been speaking, when we covered all the language aspects, we spoke about the simple tense, the continuous tense, and the perfect tense. Now you all know we have the past tense, the present tense, and the future tense. Now the simple tense in the past is just I worked all day. There we work with the second column of the verb, where we add an ed to our verb. The present tense, I work at the hotel, and the future tense, I will work at the office next week. The continuous tense, remember I said continuous, you look for the ing with your verb. In the past tense, we were working, check the ing, all day. The present tense, I am working, and the future tense, I will work. And then the past perfect tense. Remember I told you if you see perfect, you have to see has, have, and had. The past perfect, I had worked all day. The present perfect, I have worked all day. And the future, I will have worked all day. And then we have the perfect continuous tense. I had been working all day in the past. I have been working all day in the present, and I will have been working all day in the future. More examples here, past, present, and future tense, as you can see. And then this simple past tense, I studied English yesterday. I study English in the present, and I will study English. And then the continuous, the past continuous, remember continuous is the ing. I was studying English. Present tense, I am studying English. And the future, I will be studying English. And then the perfect, when you see perfect, you remember has, have, and had. The past perfect, I had studied. The present perfect, I have. And the future, I will have. And then the perfect continuous, past, I had been. Present, I have been. And future, I will have been studying. And the last example is I eat, I am eating, I have eaten, and I have been eaten. So it's the simple tense. The progressive is the same as the continuous. So if they ask you to rewrite the sentence in the present progressive tense, just remember progressive is the same as continuous. Progressive is the same as continuous. So let's just look at this very simple example. The present indefinite, she kicks the ball. The present continuous, she is kicking the ball. And then the present perfect, she has kicked the ball or they have kicked the ball. Why is she has? Remember the S rule. She is singular and everything that has an S in is applicable to the singular nouns that we use. So she has, she is, she was, she does, and she kicks. Remember the S rule of the previous lesson. How will they ask it of you in a question paper? They will ask you, change the following sentence into the past tense. Mary runs very fast. So what do? You first of all find the verb and change the verb into the past tense. Mary ran very fast. Remember, you're in grade 12. There will be more than one verb in a sentence if they ask you to change it into the past tense. Again, your clue is in your question. Look at your mark allocation. And then you will see how many changes there must be in your sentence. Peter is kicking the ball. That is obviously present continuous tense, and you have to change it into past continuous. Very simple. Peter was kicking the ball. What I see is that some learners get confused between change into the present tense or the past tense, or rewrite in the plural form, or rewrite in the negative. Please make sure that if you see change into the present tense or the past tense, then you change the tense. That is where you go and look for the verb and change it into the tense that they are asking you to change it to. The plural, you have to change everything into more than one. Again, look at your mark allocation. And then the negative, any positive word must be changed into the negative. Let's look at these examples from old papers. Change into the present tense. I wanted to say I was in awe of him. 2 marks tells me that there must be 2 changes. So I take my highlighter and I highlight the verbs wanted and I highlight was. So I wanted, I need to go from the past into the present. So I want to say I am. Was becomes am, in awe of him. Rewrite in the plural form. Don't get confused. Here you do not touch the tenses. You are simply going to rewrite in the plural. Now, when a person is lying, he tends to become generally less expressive. Now, what you have to focus on, there are going to be changes to your verbs, because these verbs are applicable to singular nouns. So you have to change your verb so that it is applicable to plural nouns. Do it word for word. When remains when. A person, change to people. Is cannot be is anymore because it's plural. Do not change the tense, just change it to plural. Is will become are. Lying, comma. He must be more than one, becomes they. And then we add an S to the verb when it's singular, but we take the S away when it's plural. So he tend to become generally less expressive. Let's look at this sentence again. When you see rewrite in the plural form, remember everything must be more than one. So do it word for word so that you don't miss anything. When remains when. A person is singular. That must become plural. So that will become people. Can't be is anymore, are. Please be aware that you do not change the tense. We must remain in the present tense. We must just change from singular to plural. Are lying, and then he will become they, and then tense. This verb is applicable to a singular noun, so we need to make it applicable to a plural noun, and we take away the S. Again, look at the mark allocation that you have next to your question, and that will give you an indication of how many changes there will be in this sentence. And then the last one we're looking at is rewrite the sentence in the negative. Now the negative means all the positives must be changed. A well-balanced diet excludes vegetables. A well-balanced diet is only one thing. That is why there's an S added to your verb. So you start with a well-balanced diet does not exclude vegetables. Remember, we take away the S over here because we use it in does not. And we use does because it's singular. Again, I refer you back to the S rule. So I'm just going to repeat this. How are they asking this in a paper? They will ask you to change the following sentence into the past tense or into the present tense. Again, if you have to change into the past tense, find your verb. Change your verb into the past tense. Remember, Mary ran very fast. Peter was kicking the ball. So immediately find your verb, change it into the past tense. The same with changing into the present tense. Find your verb. Look at the mark allocation. It will give you an indication of how many changes there will be. In grade 12, your sentences will not only contain one verb. So you highlight wanted and you highlight was and you change it. I want to say I am in awe of him. 2 marks. Do not get confused between change the tense or change into the plural form or change into the negative. Remember, very important, when we change into the plural form, we do it word for word so that we don't miss anything. And remember the subject-verb agreement that we did in the previous lesson. If your subject is singular, your verb must be singular. But if your subject is plural, your verb must be plural. And very important, when we use a verb in the plural form, we take away the S. We take away the S. Right, do it word for word. When remains when. A person becomes people. Is will become are. Do not change the tense. It must remain in the same tense that your sentence, your original sentence is, which is in the present continuous tense. Why? Because there's an ing. It remains in the present continuous tense. It must just change to a plural form. Are lying. And then the word he changed to they. And very, very important, we take away the S from the verb when we form a plural verb. And then the last one, remember the negative. A well-balanced diet excludes. A well-balanced diet does not exclude. If there's, for instance, a sentence with Peter is eating his vegetables, your negative will be Peter is not eating his vegetables. Mary was running the race. Mary was not running the race. Right, so with the negative, you add a is not, was not, or does not. Right. I hope this cleared everything up concerning your summary. Remember, I'm going to repeat this again. Planning with a summary is so very important. You do have enough time to plan properly. So remember all the instructions that you need to go through. Use the instructions as a tick list after you've done with your summary. See that you have written 7 points. You have written in point form. You used only 70 words. You only used one fact per point. And you've written in full sentences. Make sure that you summarized the correct information. Make sure that you crossed out your planning, otherwise you will lose marks. So good luck for all of you for the language papers. We've now covered the language papers. Our next lessons will be on transactional writing. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Make wise choices.